everybody, and welcome back. I think
Oh,
this is the
no.
first time I've talked to an author on her actual publication day, Liz Lawson. I'm very excited.
Yes. I mean, it's crazy that it is today. I feel like I've been
Right?
waiting for it for so
And for
long.
point of reference, what is today? It's May 26th of 2026. And I'd love to get your thoughts, feelings, etc. on what I've often said that I feel like launch day, and maybe this is more for self-published authors than trad published authors, is one of the most anticlimactic days. At least it has been for me traditionally. I don't know what I expect to happen, but it's just kind of another day for me.
Hmm.
That's what it's
Yep.
always felt like. So for you with this launching today, which It Happened One Murder is the title of the book, and it's your first adult, right? You've done 3 YA,
For YA, actually.
4
Yeah.
YA, and 1 was
Yeah.
co-written, right? Or were
Two were
2 were
co-written.
co-written. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So were they a series?
So
Okay.
duology.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about that too, because on the previous episode, I talked to Joan F. Smith, who has
Oh,
her
nice.
debut adult coming out, and she also came from the YA world. So that's kind of an interesting coincidence. But how do you feel today?
I feel pretty good. I mean, I agree with you that pub day can be very anticlimactic, like
Yeah.
at this point, since this is my fifth book, I am used to it. I know the deal. It's like
Yeah.
exciting on Instagram because everyone's like, congratulations.
Congrats.
And then
Mhm.
you hopefully have like a launch event, which is super fun. But it's not going to change your life. And I feel like sometimes as a debut, I felt like it was going to change my life. Like all of a sudden I would be like a whole different person.
Yeah.
But then my debut came out on April 7th of 2020. So not only was
Oh
I not
God.
a whole different person, no
Yeah.
one could even see my
No one
book
could even
anywhere.
go out and see. Right. You had to.
So that
Yeah.
any launch day but that one has been wonderful, I
Yeah.
gotta say. Yeah.
That was a whole new experience for a whole lot of people.
Hmm.
How do
And
we
yes.
do this? Now, the introverts out there were real excited
Yeah,
because
that
it
is
was
very
like, oh
true.
my God, I have to launch from my house.
Right.
I'm not even allowed to, I can't claim that I don't want to go anywhere. I'm not allowed to. So this is
Yeah,
a whole
exactly.
new thing. What did you think was going to happen with the first one in terms of your whole life changing? I mean, COVID aside, right? But
Yeah.
what was the sort of misunderstanding or misconception that you had
I don't
specifically?
know. I mean, I think that it just feels like there's like all of this hype around launch day, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, um, you're counting down to it. And like that's for reasons that are more trying to get people's eyes on your books than a like change. But it's sometimes easy to conflate those two things, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I just expected, I don't even know. Like I would all of a sudden be like an author with my book everywhere. And those are like the top 0.0000001% of books that it's like I don't know, David Baldacci kind of
Yeah.
release when or Stephen King, like you're like a massive author when you
Or
do
Emily
see your book
Henry or
everywhere. Emily
mhm.
Henry, exactly, great
Right.
example. So it's like, most of us, the other 99.99999%, it's like wonderful and like things happen because you can hear readers on Instagram who are excited and like Reddit and are shouting about it, which is so, so great. But you're not like going on Good Morning America and you
Right.
know,
And even
so
if you were, I mean, I haven't seen recent statistics on those shows, but way back when, like 15 years ago or so, the average author who had a Today Show or a Good Morning America appearance sold like 200 or so books off of that appearance, which is
that's
not
it.
nothing. Let's be clear, it's not nothing. Yeah. That was the
Wow.
reported statistic, and it was corroborated many times over. The thing is, with millions, I mean, 200 books in a day is, to me, like, go you. But
Yeah, fair.
understandably, when the audience is millions and millions and millions of people, authors were surprised, and not in a great way, by those
Yeah.
numbers. If you think about it, however, many people are watching those shows or listening to the podcast while they're doing other things. Like they're vacuuming or they're driving or they're wrangling a kid, and they don't stop immediately and just go order. So,
Very true.
right, it
Very
takes
true.
time.
Yeah, and I have been lucky with the Agathas and its sequel. I mean,
Mhm.
this is also the interesting thing, right? So my first book, and I was actually thinking about this yesterday, how I've had very different experiences on launch day depending on the book. Like my first book came out during COVID. I had no experience on launch day other than on
Yeah.
social media. And then I had the Agathas, which was like, we were very lucky, and it was picked as like the Barnes and Noble YA pick. So I had on Instagram, every single Barnes and Noble store in the country essentially was tagging us in
Wow.
posts. It was like bananas. And then its sequel was actually one of like Read with Jenna's picks for
Uh-huh.
like the for kids. And so I got to actually did see my book on the Today Show, but like to your point, I think that that resulted in, I mean, and it's amazing and not nothing, but I think it resulted in maybe a few hundred sales. It wasn't like
Yeah, I was gonna
millions of
ask,
people were
okay.
suddenly buying it.
Well, I'll
Um,
always take a firsthand experience even over
yeah,
data, because we don't always know where and how the data's like extrapolated and culminate.
right.
So whatever the word is that I'm looking for, it's not Monday, but it feels like it's Monday because yesterday was a holiday,
I
and I'm
know.
out
I
of
agree.
coffee. So
Yeah,
we
oh
have a
no.
lot of things not going for us right now, Liz.
Oh no.
I know. I see that you
How are you
share.
awake? How are
It's
you
not good. It's not good.
moving?
I
No,
came down.
that's
I had like
terrible.
it is. I've taken to making, side note, I've taken to making my coffee at night because I do this French press because I got scared of the
Mm-mm.
microplastics. I think I'm
Okay,
going to get
fair.
over that real soon. But so
Yeah.
I've taken to this French press. And so I make it at night because it's hotter. I live in Phoenix. You're on the East
Oh, yes.
Coast, right? You're in
I
DC.
am on yep,
Okay.
yep.
So hotter than blazes. Don't want
Mhm.
hot coffee. Make it at night. Put it in the fridge. Forgot to last night. Went into the fridge. Had like 1 inch. So I'm on 1 inch.
That's like my worst nightmare.
I know.
I was just talking to a friend about how, like, the night before I get excited about my next morning coffee. Like, that's how much of a coffee drinker I am. I think about coffee when I'm like, as I'm going to sleep.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
"Ooh, coffee's
It's what
amazing."
gets me out of bed. And I mean that.
Yes.
People will say it's what gets me out of bed, like the caffeine. I don't drink enough coffee for the caffeine. I don't think I do. I don't know. Some days are better than others. When I wake up and I don't want to get out of bed and then I think about the coffee, I'm not even sure, Liz, whether I like coffee. I'm not. It's just, it's such a thing. Is this one of your, if people are watching the video,
This is
is
one
this
of
one
the
of your
cats.
bratty cats? And
It
that's name,
is.
that's
This is
your
Joseph.
adjective. What is
It is
his
my
or her name?
adjective. Joseph. Joseph loves, he cannot, I cannot be on a video call
Oh,
without him appearing.
he's more
So
than welcome.
yeah,
And you
he
have
likes
another
to
one
be.
too, right?
I do, and he's actually sitting on the footstool in front of me.
And what is
So
his
I'm
name?
surrounded. Leo.
So my oldest daughter is a cat person and she
Hmm.
has Benjamin. And then she FaceTimed me the other day. Benny is his nickname. And then she FaceTimed me the other day and I couldn't respond. So I texted her back and I said, "Are you good?" And she said, "I need you to FaceTime me." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, what has happened?" And when I got her, she was clearly fine. So I said, "Why do you want to FaceTime me?" And she said, "I need to show you something." And I just said, "Nope, nope."
Was it
And
that her cat looks so cute?
nope. It was that she was holding another cat, kitten, if you will, in the palm of her hand. It was weighed 1.5 pounds, named
Oh,
Clancy. And then, Liz, I proceeded to get a glimmer of what my life will be like if any of my kids should choose to procreate, like have human children, because I got videos about every 13 minutes, like, look at it, look, he's falling asleep. Uh, like, look, I think he's waving. I think, and then it's like Benny and Clancy are
oh
starting to
goodness.
bond. I was just it. Hmm.
Next time, tell me. I'd be very into all of that.
Yes, I will. I will be
That's
very happy to give
amazing.
her a resource.
That's amazing.
Yes, it's something.
Kittens are really cute.
Okay, so I mean, we all have our thing, right? So, okay,
We do.
back to I asked Joan F. Smith this as well. Switching from YA to adult, what was was it something you just wanted to do? Did the story that came to you this time with It Happened One Murder feel, oh, this is more of an adult story? What happened there?
So I think what happened was I had a kid, honestly.
Oh.
He's 9 now. That wasn't yesterday. But I had a kid and I was still writing AI, obviously. In fact, all of my books have come out since he was born. But regardless, I started feeling more and more like I guess I started hearing the adult voice a little bit more
Mm.
and hearing the teen voice less. Um, not to say that I still have that teen voice in my head because I'm sure I definitely do. But I think I just started thinking like I started thinking like, okay, now I'm the kid. I guess that makes me a grown up. And do any of us actually ever feel
Oh,
like grown up?
great.
I'm not
Great. Just
sure.
perfect.
So I started to look around. I was like, okay, what is the difference between YA and adult? Like that was the first question. Other than obviously like you can curse more and there can be more like spicy scenes. Um and and that was a turning point for sure because it's like I finally realized like when you write YA, you're kind of almost like in it with the protagonist, or like you almost like explaining things more to your audience, to your reader, than
Oh.
and not being able to just assume that they have had these experiences. So you're like be explaining it to someone who's reading about it for the first time, versus an adult book where you can trust the reader to have probably been through most of the things, although maybe not investigating a murder, but like you've at least probably read another book about a murder investigation. So um
Hmm.
that it's been like a very interesting switch. Like it's been a really very eye-opening. It's more different than I assumed it would be.
Yeah. It's like me with nonfiction versus fiction. I thought, how hard can this be? Once you've written multiple nonfictions, I mean, if, God, I can make all this up. This is great. Not the
Right.
case. Is it the same agent that you have between both?
I do have the same agent.
Okay.
I have a different publisher though.
Okay.
My YA editor only does YA, and I think she does a
Hmm.
little bit of middle grade, but she does not do adult. So
Okay.
we had to go back on submission and sell book that way, which was also really interesting because I was like, oh God, how am I back to this again? Like I already have 4 books out. Like, why am I doing this again? But it makes sense because the adult category is so much bigger than YA, which has been one of the things that has really been eye opening. I knew it intellectually, but like experiencing it and seeing how like YA as a category, it's not so divided up by genre. Like you'll have like a YA
Hmm.
romance reader who also reads YA contemporary and also reads YA historical. It's more just YA is what they're
Yeah.
looking for. Versus an adult reader, really have people who are like only fantasy readers or only thriller readers. Like people really, it seems like define themselves a lot more by the genre. So it's been very interesting
Well,
to
that was
learn
actually
about.
a question I had for you because you have kind of the like trope of friends to enemies and second chance combined with a little bit of mystery with a thriller, right?
Mhm.
So I'm curious about two questions. And the first is, how did was your agent, okay, I've heard that sometimes if an author's done well with a certain, oh, there you go. It's fine. Joseph just needed to make himself, it's fine.
Okay, Joe's.
Look, I need a blooper reel. Like so thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's going to be a whole, it's going to span all
Oh,
episodes, right?
no.
But so if you've done well, see the air quotes around well with a particular
Mhm.
genre, sometimes agents are like, please don't switch. Like we have kind of a proven thing here and you can bring your readers along. We're going to switch over. Now you're really divesting yourself from your readers because you're not just trusting that, oh, they read my murder mystery as an adult fiction. Now they'll read my rom-com. You're really like divesting yourself from that group, I would think. And then
Mhm.
secondarily, I already forgot my second question. So let's just go with the first question.
Perfect. Um, so it is interesting because, like, YA readers, there are a lot of people who read YA and adult, right? But I think there are a
Mhm.
lot more, there are definitely a lot more people that read adult, just generally speaking, especially these days. YA is having a bit of a crisis of like identity right
I
now.
have heard that.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm
What
hoping
do you
it
think's happening there?
oh god, I have so many theories. I think like the market got oversaturated because for so long it was like really rolling. I think COVID didn't help because like a lot of kids, they just got really attached to their screens probably.
Ooh,
Then I think, like, and this is an interesting, I think it's an interesting observation that I've had, which is that it seems like genre, like commercial genre fiction in adult has really grown over the past 6 or 7
uh-huh.
years, particularly like romance and romantasy, right? And I think that's what adult readers were looking for in YA for so long was like something other than
Yeah.
like the literary fiction or like the, shoot 'em up thriller that like the kind of like man thriller, I guess is how you might
Yeah.
describe it. Something a little bit softer, more voicey. And like there's been so many books that have started filling that hole that maybe adult readers don't need YA as much anymore to fill that.
Hmm.
And so instead of picking up like a romance book, you might pick an Emma Henry instead. And the themes are a little bit more mature, but she's not writing on a level that is like outrageously adult. So,
Correct.
like
Yeah.
she's mostly closed door-ish.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there's like a little bit more spice, but nothing like too graphic. So I do wonder if a lot
Hmm.
of teens kind of switch to adult commercial
From
genre fiction rather than YA.
That's what that made me wonder is, do you think I don't even have an opinion on this because I wouldn't have a basis to have an opinion on this. Do you feel like sort of the gap between YA and adult has gotten bigger, or there's more overlap, and so more adult novels or novels that are written in the adult arena can still be marketed to YA, so there's no need to classify them as YA because it
Yeah.
might turn off the adult readers?
I do think that it's the second one more. Like
Okay.
I think that both categories have kind of like started to grow toward each other. Like,
Mhm.
and now a lot of publishers have started new imprints that have they're targeting like the new adult stage where you're
Yeah.
like in your early 20s, college age. So
Because
I
we
do think
definitely
that
need another category.
yeah.
I mean, my god.
Oh, absolutely. What we really need, and this is like a complete aside, but what we really need are books for like 10 to 15-year olds, maybe like 8 to 15-year olds. That is a age range that could
Underserved.
use underserved. Thank you. That is the
Well, but
word.
you
Yes.
you also you raised such a good point earlier that this challenge of getting these kids off their screens to read books
Yeah.
in that age range, like 9 to 15, is not the easiest thing. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
what
very
I
true.
it's not the I my kids kind of came up during, like, grew up during the cell phone, like, when they were just getting more and more powerful. So my oldest,
Hmm.
who's almost 27, I mean, she at some point in there got an iPhone, but they started but it wasn't as we didn't have social media then. And
Yeah.
now, they're all getting their phones, and of course, this is a personal decision on the part of the apparently not great raising my hand parent, but they're getting their phones earlier and earlier, and they have more access to things. So that's a
Yeah.
challenge.
It is a challenge. I mean, I think because, like I said, I have a 9-year-old and
Mhm.
he has just become a big reader where he's
Mhm.
reading like, solid chapter books, no pictures.
What is he
Um,
like? What's his
currently he's reading, what is the book called? It's about a kid who is like a really, really good soccer player and gets recruited into like basically the junior Premier League. So he moves
Hmm.
to the UK and starts playing soccer professionally. And my kid is a huge soccer player, so it works perfectly. And there are about 6 or 7 of them, which is so great because I love when
Oh,
he finds series. That way
yeah.
we don't have to start hunting for something new again. But for a long time, for years, he was reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Big Nate, Garfield. And I
Oh,
think there
I
there was like
loved
this part of
Garfield.
same with me. These were all my
Mhm.
old Garfield
Yep.
books. Um and there was a part of me that was like, "Oh my gosh, should I should we limit the amount of graphic novels he can read?" Because even though I know that reading is reading, and that's what I kept telling myself. Reading is reading. It's just good that he's reading.
Mhm.
But I can understand why parents might be like, you have to read a chapter book before their kid is feeling ready for it. And I think that that is one of the things that kind of kills the love of reading in a kid is when, they're kind of forced to read something that they're not ready for whatever reason. And I mean ready for maturity wise, I mean just they're just not interested in it, I guess.
Right.
And
Right.
so they're like, I don't want to read this book with no pictures yet. And so I'm just gonna not read it all.
Yeah. Well,
But
and I mean, we could go off on a whole side tangent about school, and
yeah.
this is not a homeschool versus public school versus private school versus charter school versus no school, like just live life conversation. But it is interesting what the curriculum requires them to read and how that can pull some kids into the world of reading because they actually just happen to love Macbeth. And
Yeah.
then other kids are like, "Oh my god, I'm never reading
Hmm.
ever again." And I don't I mean, again, that's a whole separate conversation, but because school is such a big part of some kids' entrance into the world of books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, I happen to be someone who loves Shakespeare. I took
Okay.
several classes just on Shakespeare
Oh.
in high school and college. I know I'm such a nerd, but I
It's not that
I
you're a
can
nerd, it's that I was like, "I don't get it."
yeah, and you know what? That makes sense because it's written in old English.
Right.
Yeah, of course, old English. Yeah, so I mean, but I did definitely have many books that I read throughout middle school and high school and college. Oh God, in college, I took for my thesis because I was an English major. So for my thesis class we had to read Bleak House by Charles Dickens, which I absolutely hated, and Vanity Fair, the book, which was also, I mean, these are two books written in 19 or 1800s London about the Industrial Revolution, essentially. And I was like, these are the most boring books I've ever read in my life. This is not what I want to be reading. So yes, there is something to be said for
Right.
for giving kids
Yeah.
options that might be more relevant to their lives.
And then comes the question, like, how do you do that, right? When you have a classroom of 20, 30, 40 kids, whatever the case may be, how on
Yeah.
earth, right? And again, totally. So I just remembered my second question. Aren't you
Oh, great.
excited? And
I don't
right,
even know if I
because I
answered your
am.
first question.
Um, most certainly did. You most certainly
Oh,
did.
perfect.
So, what I hear lots of times from authors is that when they come up with a book idea, concept, or they've written a draft or whatever, the agent slash editor, possible acquisitions editor, is confused, concerned because they can't figure out where would the book live on the shelf, which to me is such an archaic question because
Hmm.
60 to 80% of books are purchased online. And as much as I love certainly an indie bookstore, and I do, and if I were to run an indie bookstore, or of the people who I know who do run indie bookstores, they can always figure out on what shelf to put it. I don't find that that's an often like, oh my God, what do I do? But it's still cited as a concern by agents and editors, like, where would this go? Did you run into that at
Right.
all, having like the romance and the mystery?
Well, my agent is like, she's awesome. And she's never really been like, don't write this. She's generally like pretty supportive. She's like, if this is what is interesting you, go for it. So she
Yeah.
never came forward with any concerns like that. And really, when I sold the book, it was more of a cozy mystery with a romance. And my publisher actually
Okay.
is the one who kind of like pushed the romance a little bit more into it, which was great and worked. But they were the ones who were on board with it. But I have wondered, like, where is it going to be in Barnes and Noble? Like, is it going to be in the mystery shelf or the romance shelf, or it's like, where is it going to sit? I think probably mystery, just because I think that mystery readers are more open to having romance in the books than like a really hardcore romance reader who would be like, what is this like
That's fair. I
mystery
think
that
that's
they're
fair.
solving?
Mhm.
Um, that's my guess, but I don't actually know. So it is something I've thought about.
Well, I think
Like,
sometimes even booksellers, like the big box booksellers, they don't necessarily stock based on what the BISAC code or whatever is. They kind of stock based on I don't know what their process is, but point being, I look for a lot of my friends' books in bookstores when I'm in there to just take pictures and share, and they're not where I would think they would be. And they're not
interesting.
where I think my friends think they would be. And that happens a lot in the romance. I mean, no, we don't. I'm not finding their romance novels over in serial killer documentaries or anything
Right,
like that.
right.
But it's not, they'll think, well, for example, my book would fit really well with on the same shelf as Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry, those folks, but it's not there. Now, I'm not going to go so
Oh,
far as to say it's with literary fiction because it's not, but and I'm trying to think, I can think specifically of one example where I saw this recently and I was like, why is this here? It was
huh.
just odd to me.
That's
So
that's
who
curious.
knows? I mean, we only have
Yeah,
so much control, right?
yeah, very true. Very true.
It's
That's
just a
the
thing.
hardest part of publishing
Yeah,
is you can only have so much control. That is a difficult thing
correct.
to accept. But yeah, it's very true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, last question I always ask is what are you reading now?
I just finished Lena Dunham's memoir, which was really great. I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of hers, and I know that she can be like a very divisive figure, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. I was a big fan of girls, and learning like the health issues she was going through while she was filming was like it was eye opening. So
I've heard that. Another friend of mine, Jean Stahl, posted yesterday who has the best. She keeps alerting me. I mean, I had heard of Lena Dunham's book, but I'm trying to think what's the yesteryear. She's the one who got me so excited about yesteryear. I don't have it yet, but it's almost like I had never heard of it before she posted it. And then she posted it and she was like in an airplane bathroom and making this video about how this book is revolutionizing her life and just amazing. And so after that, it seemed like everybody was talking about yesteryear. I had heard about Lena Dunham's book, but I hadn't talked to anyone who had read it. And then Jean
yeah,
posted that she had read it and that while she also finds Lena to be a little bit divisive at times and et cetera, it was a good book. That was her thing is no matter how you feel about this woman as and how she moves through the world, this is a really well done, well written book, and she really enjoyed it.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
Lena Dunham is an excellent writer at the end of
yeah,
the day. Like I don't think anyone can deny that. But yesteryear is next up. Like I have that on my side table, like right next to my
you
bed.
do.
So that's yes, yes. That's one of my reads that it's like on high up on my TBR list.
Well, I've been told once you start, you absolutely can't stop, which is how I feel right now about The Half Life by Rachel Beanland. I started it the other
Oh,
day, and oh my god, I I can't. It's
I'm gonna have to look
just
up that.
I
It's
mean,
good.
it's funny because I posted it on my story and I just said, this book is brilliant. And I had some Yahoo comment as they do. And she said, why? I'll pass without a why. And I thought
Okay.
I thought a lot of things that I won't repeat.
Yes.
But but I did think, "Gosh, why?" And then I realized, "'Cause it's just amazing." Like, why do I I just oh, the her writing, we'll just start there. I mean, so well, I can't wait to get my hands on It Happened One Murder. I'm very
Well, thank
excited
you.
about this. Yes, I need a great
Thank you.
beach read that's also got some mystery and I love all put all the tropes together all day, Liz, because I am absolutely here for it. And thank you so much. I just wish you all the very best with this launch and whatever comes after this. I'm certain this won't be the last.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on.